Welcome one, welcome all to Tarble Arena in Kenosha, Wisconsin, as the visiting Vikings of North Park University take on the Firebirds of Carthage College. Hello everybody, I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Eric Elger. We're excited to be with you this afternoon on Marquee Sports Network. Joining us now, Kalia Butler. Kalia had a chance to talk with head coach Steve Jarakovic. Kalia.
Yes, Pete. Head coach Jarakovic told me that he is really excited for this game, but he's also a little bit nervous about it because this is a team that has not played a game in the past 15 days. However, he said that the key to today's game is going to be energy, sustaining that energy from the very beginning, and also just getting out and pressuring this team for a full 40 minutes. This is a very fast-paced North Park team, and he wants to slow them down, getting out in transition, taking advantage of their matchups, and just overall having fun. Pete, back to you.
All right, thank you. Kalia, she'll be joining us today for the Sideline Reports on the Firebird Broadcasting Network live on Marquee. Eric, you had some players to watch. Let's start with the visiting North Park University Vikings program. Rico Powell has been an absolute tear for the Vikings.
Yeah, Rico Powell, a very talented combo guard, and he loves to shoot off the dribble. He loves to attack to the basket, and that's really the North Park motto. Is they have a couple three-point shooters, but overall they're trying to attack, and get to the rim. And you can see here as the standings, Coach Jarakovic highlighted how important this game is, because the winner of this game is going to be the last remaining undefeated team in the CCIW.
Yeah, again, you look at 3-0 overall, 2-0 overall in conference play alone. Both teams, one of them is going to have win number 9 on the season. And boy, oh boy, are we in store for a huge contest. Again, we thank you for joining us on the Marquee Sports Network, the inaugural CCIW broadcast, pitting against the two top teams in the conference. No other way you could have planned it, no other way you could have scheduled it. It's a heavyweight battle this afternoon. Let's go over to the Carthage College side of things for the home Firebirds. Again, another great start to the season for Coach Jarakovic and the squad. Who are we looking out for the Firebirds that have led them to be second in the conference in points, fourth for the opposing points, but the big one too, first in three-point percentage and first in opposing three-point percentage. Who do we have to look out for the Firebirds today?
Yeah, the Firebirds, a couple guys I wanted to point out is, number one, Coach Jarakovic talks about valuing the ball and taking care of it at all times, all possessions. And someone who's going to have a big role is A.J. Johnson, because he's going to have to face that full court pressure that North Park likes to use. And then on the defensive side, with an attacking team such like the Vikings, a huge role for Griffin Dawn and A.J. Williams, because they're going to be the key on-ball defenders, trying to keep their man in front of them, because once North Park starts getting drives to the basket and they're kicking it out to the three-point line, that's where they can score in bunches. So can Dawn and A.J. Williams slow up the slashers from the for the Vikings?
Yeah, last time these two teams met, February of last year now. So again, we're in 2025, so happy 2025, everybody. That was a 76-62 victory for the Firebirds. But again, a much different team, much different players. 3 of the starters for the Firebirds no longer with the program. One of them, of course, Antoine Nesbitt, being injured right now, not able to play in today's contest, graduations, transfers, but still this Firebirds team has not missed a hitch. They will be in the home grays with red numbers and letters, black trim. The visiting Vikings will be in the black jerseys with white numbers and letters and a bit of a blue gold trim on that. So once again, let's look through the starters for the Vikings. At the guard position, 4 guards. It's going to be Bax, Powell, Gardner, and Nelson. DJ Wallace is going to be the man in the middle. As for the Firebirds, they're going to run one forward as well. Ryan Johnson, Brooks, A.J. Johnson, the brother, will be getting the start as well, along with Griffin Dong. Tip, swatting at it, nonetheless coming away with it for the Firebirds is Riley Brooks, the transfer from Ripon High School. And we're underway on the Firebird Broadcasting Network today on the Marquee Sports Network. Dawn hitches over to the right, looking to drive, is going to be 15, A.J. Johnson. And the phenomenal A.J. Johnson getting the first bucket of the afternoon.
So, yeah, talking with Coach Jarakovic, he talked about how important A.J. Johnson is going to be as kind of the point guard, and maybe not to expect as many points or to be as aggressive on that offensive side. But you can see right there is that, hey, he's still got some buckets in him no matter what.
Block from behind, Ryan Johnson. The last time played 10 points. Again, almost a year ago, and a bit on the aggression on the defensive side is going to be Rico Powell, the senior guard out of Brother Rice High School on the south side of Chicago. Looking for the inbounds to the right, ill-advised pass by Griffin Dawn. Vikings floater with the right hand, rims out. Johnson comes away with the board. And that's something where Johnson last year, and that was just a little bit of miscommunication for the Firebirds, as right away A.J. Johnson is saying, hey, look where you're going with that one. Easier said than done when you're trying to pick up the fast pace of a Coach Jarakovic offense.
Yeah, and that's something actually they want to play fast and get easy buckets early if they can.
Getting one there, Tyjon Berry out of Moraine Valley, that was DJ Wallace marked that with the trifecta out of Hoffman Estates High School. Another ill-advised pass, Ryan Johnson tries to get over to Griffin Dawn, who is already streaking in, and 2 turnovers in a row for the Firebirds. Coach Edwin McGee in the first season at the helm for the Vikings. Surely happy about the miscommunication for the Firebirds thus far, and surely happy about the long-range baseline 3. Lance Nelson, the pride of Cottage Grove, Wisconsin, delivering a 6-2 lead for the Vikings, and a full-court press against the Firebirds right now as A.J. Williams finally gets it across half court.
So yeah, something Coach Jurakovic said is that if they can get a quick bucket like we got there from Riley Brooks, if they'll take that so the defense can't get set. But if the defense is set, they said they're going to try to be patient and really make North Park work on the defensive end and kind of use all 25, 30 seconds if they have to.
Trying to drive in with the right hand. The fadeaway jumper at the free throw line. Nothing but the bottom of the net. Preston Backs the third out of New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah, you can already see North Park. That's where they're trying to get into the paint. And, they're so effective at getting to the paint and also kicking it out to their three-point shooters. Someone like Devontae Robinson, who's got just unlimited range, they'll have to kind of get out there and stop them if they can.
The pump fake, looking for the foul, getting it, and one. A.J. Johnson out of Oswego, Illinois. His 4th point of the afternoon, and Firebirds have a chance to come within 1 point at the free throw line.
Yeah, North Park, you can see how they love to play fast. They play aggressive on the defensive end. They're always looking for steals, trying to get, tip the ball from behind. And, if Carthage can take care of the ball, and you could see they already had a few issues the first 2 possessions, but taking care of the ball is going to be huge for the Firebirds.
Johnson misses the free throw and gets fouled again. So A.J. Johnson, an .880 free throw shooter, has his younger yet taller brother, gets the offensive board, kicks it back out to the older, shorter brother, and sends him to the line for 2 more.
Yeah, one of the best free throw shooters in the conference, if not in Division III, shooting at 88%. It's kind of rare to see that miss go, but his brother had his back and got it back to him anyway.
When looking at the last time these 2 teams played again back in February, you had Phil Balatovich, who, again, potential future Hall of Famer for the Carthage Firebirds for all intents and purposes. 26 points, 10 boards, along with 2 steals. Antoine Nesbitt was your 2nd leading scorer, and your 3rd leading scorer was Julian Campbell. Your 1, 2, and 3 from a year ago, not on the court here this afternoon in Kenosha, off the lakefront of Lake Michigan. So a different lineup for Carthage. Let's see how it matches against this Viking squad. But with that being said, the leading scorer for the Vikings last year was Colden Vanlingham, who is in his own right not on the squad this year. Lance Nelson, however, was your 2nd leading scorer with 10 points. And he is, of course, here today. Driving in, layup with the right hand. Smooth as silk, Riley Brooks. who is having himself one heck of a season, averaging 16.5 a game for Carthage.
Yeah, you can see how North Park plays offensively. All 5 players kind of stand outside the arc, and they look to drive and kick.
And foul called against A.J. Williams, who also loses his shoe.
And we said in the game, Carthage, he's one of their best on-ball defenders is A.J. Williams, so he's going to play a huge role trying to limit their slashers. But North Park, I mean, if you look at just their up and down their roster and where they get points from, it kind of comes from everywhere. I mean, they have a handful of guys scoring 5 or more points, and that's really what they like to do is spread it around and attack all game.
Fadeaway 3, couldn't find it, bounced in the air. Offensive board for the Firebirds, pushing ahead. Williams has it swiped away, bouncing around. Great play on the defensive end. Lance Nelson able to come away with the steal. Layup with the right hand, baseline, good. Number 25, Kyron Gardner out of OPRF, Oak Park River Forest, coming over from Morton College.
Yeah, great attack there, and they're strong when they get to the basket. They can kind of play through contact and get their shots off as they need.
Brooks couldn't find the 3 ball. Spinning baseline, nothing there. Fakes the pass, resetting up the offensive attack is the aforementioned Nelson. 15 remaining in the opening half of action, tied at 10 apiece. Floating it in, ill-advised pass, and Williams comes away with the steal.
Yeah, good defense there by kind of something Coach Jurkovic also mentioned is A.J. Johnson, another great defender. He says kind of doesn't get as much credit, but you could see him staying in front of Kyron Gardner there after he just got to the basket. So another key defensive player for the Firebirds.
Tied at 10 apiece. We'll take a timeout when we come back. Continuation of quarter number 1, Carthage, North Park on Marquee Sports Network. Ten your score on Marquee Sports Network. I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Eric Elger. Eric, back and forth battle. So far, 5 minutes in, but for all intents and purposes, it's kind of what we expected in this contest.
Yeah, we knew this was going to be a tight game, and I think really the difference so far is nice inbound pass, brother to brother. Oh, brother to brother there. But yeah, I think kind of what Carthage has slowed them up so far is just 4 turnovers already. But, that's kind of what North Park can do.
Getting the foul called against Griffin Dawn.
And you can see just the strength that they have. I mean, they put their head down, get to the basket, and it's even with someone as tough defensively as Griffin Dawn, it's hard to stay in front of that kind of physicality, especially when they got a little head of steam going to the basket.
Missing the free throw is Gardner. His 5th game of the season, 5 for 8 from the free throw line. Make that now 5 for 9.
And Gardner's one of those guys, when you look at his shot chart over the season, does not take a lot of threes. And so, if you're guarding him, you kind of maybe sag down a little bit, sag back a little bit, because his whole game is trying to get inside the paint.
Dawn gets to the charity stripe, kicks back out. Screen at the top for Johnson, 10 on the shot clock. Floats it into Ryan Johnson. Backing in, gets double teamed. Passes off, Sigel drives in, loses a handle. Quick pass ahead, Griffin Dawn forced to foul, but good job by number 10, Tyjon Berry. He is the Moraine Valley Community Product, former Cyclone out of the 2-year program. I have an affinity, I went there myself, so, any chance I can call out MVCC for some of my undergrad years.
And that's kind of how this team is built. A lot of transfers. There's not many North Park players out on the court today that will kind of been through the program for 3-4 years. They get transfers, they find athletes, and they gave the kids opportunity to really get in the lineup as they go deep.
Yeah. Well, and something to note as we see Johnson driving in, almost losing a handle, and is going to be called for a foul, is the original intent for him wasn't necessarily to be your starting 5, but with graduations, with transfers, and with changes, he's had to kind of redefine what his role from a potential stretch 4 to your starting 5 is for this year's squad.
That's another thing Coach talked about, is that they really don't play with a true, what you would call center big.
Yeah.
It's even their, kind of their taller players play a little more like wings. And so that's why, as you can see there, another take to the basket. And, that's why they're so tough to guard, is just that they spread you out, and it's hard to get in the lanes to stop those drives because of how open everything is. And there you can see A.J. Johnson doing a nice job of making the right pass.
Fight underneath. Not able to get there was Tanner Lamb, who's also in the game with Sigel. So again, the 2 of the subs that have come in thus far, more of your, mid-sized guards that stretch the floor, can shoot from outside. Johnson thought he might have gotten the offensive foul. No call. Up strong and 1. And another foul going to be called. I believe it's against Johnson. And it is indeed the second foul against Johnson. And just like that, one of the rotational big men, Nemanja Stojic, has checked into the game.
And this is going to be kind of interesting to see how Nemi can kind of stay in front of these players, because, again, Nemi's more of your guy that's going to go, kind of bang up in the post. But, the Vikings don't really have that, so they're going to force Stojic really to guard out on the perimeter.
Almost taken away. A huge full court press all the way up ahead to Stojic. Tipped back in. Stepping on the line at the last moment was Berry. And what a defensive presence we've seen so far for the Vikings, especially on that sequence.
Yeah, you can see Edwin McGee loving that hustle there. He was kind of shoving his guys to say, go pick that guy up off the floor, because that was some effort that he enjoyed, and that's really what the Vikings are about.
Pass to the near side. Vikings 3-point lead, looking to extend it to a 2-possession game. Top of the key, there's Tristan Arno out of Miami, Florida, transferring over from Chicago State University in the Cougars. Bounces around and falls. You'll take the points any way you can. Number 14, William Bates out of Governor State University. Again, one of the many transfers that this North Park team heralds. Pass in to Stojic, kicks back out. 3-pointer rolls around, no good, and that'll go out of play, pulled out of Stojic's hands. You're almost surprised that Stojic just didn't go up for it himself. We're going to take a timeout. 6-point lead for the Vikings over the home Firebirds, 18-12. We'll return shortly on Marquee Sports Network. William Bates, an outstanding job so far, again out of Bremen Academy in Chicago, Illinois. Just another one of those many pieces, Eric, as you spoke about, that at any time can come in and play well for the Vikings squad.
Yeah, I'm looking at where the Vikings got their scoring, and they have 7 baskets made by 7 different players. So, as we mentioned, this is just a spread out type of offense, and really, I mean, any guy can score, and any guy will score.
To 12, your score.
And again, this is where North Park loves to set up at full court defense. Can Carthage pick up the right passes, and Sigel does a nice job of finding the way to break the pressure there.
Quick pass inside, turnaround jumper, can't find it. And a little bit of a dry spell now, 3-minute scoring freeze for the Firebirds, 1 out of their last 5 from the field, 0 for their last 5 from the three-point land. And that's exactly why we were talking about number 14, William Bates, the streak, the score, 8-point lead for the Vikings.
Yeah, that was a nice cut there, and almost an even better pass to find him cutting to the basket. And you can see, again, North Park, they do not draw back on defense at all. They get in your face all the way up, almost, the entire half court. And there, I think you could see Sigel, got caught on that cut, and now you see A.J. Williams come back. So again, it's a hard team to stay in front of. It's a hard team to keep in front of you. And Coach Jurakovic looking to go to A.J. there as Nemi gets a bucket.
Well, and that's what you're going to have to see Stojic able to do, because right now they're taking away everything on the perimeter, Eric, and they're going to challenge a player like Stojic to be the ones that beats them offensively. Long-range three-pointer, a miss for Arno, the former Cougar of Chicago State. Lead at 6. Stojic looking for the inbound pass, or looking for the deep pass, I should say. Pump fake, no foul called, 10 seconds remain. Brooks, the pump fake, the three-pointer, hand in his face.
Yeah, Carthage starting 0 for 6 from the three-point line.
Poked underneath, looking for the defensive board is Williams. Is a timeout going to be called? They're fighting for it, and it might just be a jump ball, and it is. So indeed, jump ball is going to be called. Possession's going to stay with the Vikings, as Brooks is going to check out. Sigel comes back into the contest. So again, Carthage operating with a shorter bench than usual, and right now, just not the offensive firepower that one may be used to if you've watched Carthage yet this season.
For sure, I can say there have not been many games with Coach Jurakovic at the helm where they only have 14 points 10 minutes into the game. So you'll continue to look to find the weaknesses. And, yeah, I think it comes down to two. Just you got to knock down some threes when you can.
10-2 scoring run for the Vikings, looking to add on to it. Pump fake underneath Williams, penetrating, layup right hand, good. Hand in his face. Didn't matter, able to deliver is Josh Gaines out of Midwestern State University, hailing from Detroit, Michigan. Lead back to 8. Open, three-pointer baseline, trifecta for the Firebirds. Tanner Lamb willing the Firebirds back into this contest on this Saturday afternoon in January.
Yeah, if you're Tanner Lamb, you got that open look. That is as good as a look Carthage can develop. Unfortunate for Sigel to get caught in there. I mean, Lamb's knocking down 45% of his three-pointers this season. So, yeah, it doesn't get much better of a look than that, and he cashes in.
So close foul nonetheless. You didn't know if North Park necessarily had possession, but nonetheless, foul called. 6 team fouls now against the Firebirds to 5 of North Park. Something to keep an eye on with 9:12 remaining. And an offensive foul called on North Park. Head coach Edwin McGee in his first year not happy about that call, having a conversation with the officials, but nonetheless, kind of an arm went up, made contact, clean call.
Yeah, that's something I think is going to put a lot of pressure on the refs this game, is how physical North Park plays, and you know what are you going to let them, what kind of stuff you're going to let go, and what are you going to call? And North Park didn't love that call.
Looking long range, Stojic, offensive board, kicking back out. Off the right hand, rims out, no good once again. A.J. Johnson comes up short, and another foul is going to be called against the Firebirds, and that will now send North Park to the line. And that's going to be on Nemanja Stojic, his first. And the reason Stojic is getting so much playing time currently is because of the foul trouble that Johnson is in.
Yeah, Nemi's played some tough minutes here in this game, and he was able to get the offensive rebound and kick it out to A.J. Johnson, and unfortunately not able to knock it down, but that is something Carthage should have an advantage today, is the rebounding advantage, just with the way that they got some height versus kind of the smaller guards of North Park.
A.J. Williams pushing ahead, missing the one-on-one. Stojic, layup with the right hand, and what an afternoon so far for Nemanja Stojic. Getting the call early, getting the call often. Playing in 9 games so far, Stojic averaging 3.5 points a game. But again, with the early foul trouble of Johnson, answering the call, turnaround, easy play underneath the basket for the Vikings, DJ Wallace out of Hoffman Estates High School.
Yeah, the tough matchup there for Colton Sigel is just the physicality, just the height advantage. He's just able to go to work on the block.
A.J. Johnson trying to fight through that full court press. Williams pump fakes, step back, three-pointer, no good, hard off the side iron. 8 minutes remaining in the opening half of action. A fast first half of action here on Marquee. Stojic with another rebound. Slowing things down now is A.J. Johnson.
Yeah, Nemi's been huge on the board side of things. And you can see Carthage, they beat the press. They've had open looks, and again, Tanner Lamb's the only one to be able to connect so far, as Carthage is 1 of 10 from the three-point line. But to their credit, I mean, only 5 points down and really not shooting that well, hanging around, and expect them to get a little hotter here as the game goes on.
We'll take a timeout, 24-19, your score. We'll be back on Marquee Sports Network. Welcome back to the Marquee Sports Network. 24-19 your score. Now going to Kalia Butler with a report on the Johnson brothers. Kalia?
Yeah, Pete, I feel like you can't go through this game without talking about the contribution of the Johnson brothers. A.J. Johnson, the older brother, is the second leading scorer on this team, averaging 13 a game, while Ryan Johnson is third leading scorer on the team, averaging 12. And just their contributions not only on the court but off the court. Head coach Jarakovic just spoke so highly of them and what they've been able to do this season and the culture that they have brought and the mentality and the style of play that they both have. So being able to have that maybe sibling rivalry kind of come together on the court has been big for them. Pete, back to you.
All right, thank you, Kalia. Eric, always fun to talk about, sibling rivalry in terms of that, but the fact that both decided to make the choice to come to Carthage and play together, it's almost in the sense of, when twins go and play together, when these two young men are so close in age to one another. It's always fun to see.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there wasn't a foregone conclusion that Ryan Johnson was going to be coming here, but I think AJ did a little extra recruiting and made sure his brother came and play alongside with him.
Riley Brooks fouled on the way up, and I will say this, for a little while, if you're a Firebirds fan, you were kind of like, okay, what's going to be the story here of this contest? Because they were shooting at a low percentage. Right now they are 42% from the field, but 10%, 1 for 10 from three. Brooks misses the free throws, and missed free throws aren't helping contribute to the, I guess you could say, offensive challenges that the Firebirds have had so far. But it's only a 5-point game with 7 remaining in the opening half.
Yeah, and it feels like, Carthage's leading scorer, Riley Brooks, here at the free throw line, hasn't really gotten to kind of his offensive rhythm, and part of that is due to the North Park defense and just how they just have guys flying around everywhere. And, look for Riley to continue to push and get his baskets.
Nice pass underneath the basket. Preston backs the third. Had everyone fooled on where he was making that pump fake, and that full court pressure still causing some challenges for the Firebirds. 28-22 lead, 6.5 remaining until half.
And really after kind of the first few moments of the game, as I think there's a foul going to be called.
Indeed, it looks like a Stojic is going to be called.
Oh. But kind of after
excuse me.
Yeah, I think they called it against Nemi. Who's it on, number 0,
Yeah.
John Gaines? Yeah, it was kind of a confusing call there, but as I was saying, is that they started off kind of sloppy the first few turnovers, and Coach Jurakovic was worried about that with that kind of 15-day layoff, but they've been able to kind of correct some of that, take care of the ball a little bit better. And
Stojic, a .385 free throw shooter. Couldn't come away with that one, and rebound now for the Firebirds. Getting some contact underneath as Johnson loses the handle on the baseline, trying to kick it out, and Gaines comes away with the free ball. Up ahead, layup with the right hand, back front of the rim, good. Backs delivers. A 8-point lead once again for the Vikings.
Something also to watch out for North Park is that they can score kind of in bunches, just the way they steal, get out in transition, and they're a team that if all of a sudden you get a little bit of a dry spell, in just a few minutes, they can do a lot of damage by getting up and down the court.
Brooks with the miss, an opportunity for a double-digit lead for the first time in the game by the Vikings. Fancy footwork, rims out, no good. Offensive board after the punch by Wallace. Driving in, kicking out, nice rotation, thought about the three-pointer, didn't take it, was backs. Falling away, and a Stojic pushes the pace ahead. Brooks, the spin, the layup, no good. Thought he'd gain contact, did not.
Yeah, it was a nice spin move. Just hard to pick up the basket when you're turning around like that. Oh.
Sigel pokes it ahead for Johnson. Back to his Stojic. The pump fake, trying to get contact, laying it up with the right hand, no good. And a foul going to be called. And both teams probably happy for that whistle, as it was a frantic pace the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, and that's, that's why this game's so fun to watch so far, just how much they love to get up and down and attack. And AJ able to get to the rim, very aggressive there, kind of went in against a couple defenders and able to come out and draw the foul. And as we mentioned before, he is as effective of a free throw shooter as Carthage has. And, you know, again, not shooting this so well from outside. I mean, these are the type of points you really need to pick up from the free throw line.
Rolls around and good. A much needed point for the Firebirds. Again, a lot of playing time left, but again, if you're Carthage, as you've mentioned, as Kalia mentioned when speaking with Coach Jarakovic, that long layoff sometimes, you got to knock the rust off, as cliche as it sounds, but also knocking the rust off all the while having a situation 30 to 24, your score timeout is going to be called. While we have a moment, we want to remind everybody, if you are ready to take the next step in your educational journey, Carthage College makes the admissions process simple and straightforward, so you can focus on finding the best fit for your future. Whether you're an undergraduate, transfer, graduate, or international student, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Visit carthage.edu/admissions/apply for details, or reach out to the admissions team at 800-351-4058 or admissions@carthage.edu. We can't wait to welcome you to the Firebird family. 6-point lead for the visiting Vikings over the home Firebirds. And again, looking through some of the numbers, Eric, what stands out to you so far?
I mean, you see a lot of advantages that Carthage has. Again, they're leading in rebounds, 14-11. They've shot more free throws. They've made more free throws than North Park's even attempted. It just really comes on. I think that stands out is that 1 from 10 for the three-point line, and also Carthage losing the turnover battle 7-3. So those two things, I think, are what have led to this early lead for the Vikings.
Mishandled but poked away at the last moment by the Firebirds and Brooks.
And again, the important role of someone like Nemia Stojic, who without Ryan Johnson for an extended period of the game here, is, I think, you know, Nemi's really played his role well and has not forced Coach Jurkovic to turn back to Ryan Johnson. That's kept him from picking up that third foul.
Yeah, TJ Gardner, transfer from Murray State, called for the travel, kind of threw his hands up like, are you sure? He was close, but nonetheless, officials have been fairly consistent, as staunch defense now by Arnaud against Sigel. And again, a Stojic, huge minutes. Long-range three-pointer, making it rain. Riley Brooks delivers. The Fireball. Firebirds back to within 3, and another travel, that time on number 10, Tyjon Berry. Back-to-back travels in sequential possessions.
I think that stems from just the way Carthage has stayed in front, too, is not letting, I mean, you know they're trying to attack, but if you can stay in front, sometimes that, you know, causes a Viking to shuffle a little bit there. And Colton Sigel's done a nice job of protecting the ball here with such heavy pressure.
Open is Dawn for 3, drives in, up and under, fouled, hits the ground, but able to potentially bounce back up, as he does so slowly, but a one-possession game now. Timeout on the court. 3-point lead for the Vikings. Carthage will go at the line. Griffin Dawn will take that timeout. We'll come back on the Firebirds Broadcasting Network and Marquee Sports Network. And welcome back to the Firebird Broadcasting Network. 30-27 your score. Got a Cubs player, or somebody related to the team, I guess you could say, in the crowd.
Yeah, former Carthage grad Jim Bojkovic, who you might have seen in Hard Knocks, the Bears, the first episode. He got a little screen time because Caleb Williams was throwing the first pitch. So, I mean, former Carthage grad was one of the coolest jobs I can think of, is being in charge of first pitches at Wrigley Field. You know, how fun can that be? How many celebrities you meet? And good to see him back here at Tarble.
Well, especially, you know, if you do all the 6 degrees of separation a la Kevin Bacon. We are on Marquee Sports Network today, home of the Cubs, so it's only fitting.
Yeah, not a stranger to the Marquee Network, I don't believe.
Three-pointer, back iron, no good, still up in the air. Able to come away with it is Johnson. Passes up ahead to Griffin Dawn. Nemanja Stojic still in the contest with 3 minutes remaining. And Vikings will take possession. So for as big of a lead as it was, an 8-point lead, more than once throughout this opening half of action, Firebirds have battled and clawed back within 1 with 3.5 remaining until half.
Exactly, and I think those free throws, drawing contact and knocking down 9 of 12 free throws, that's really what's kept them in. And a couple key timely shots from Brooks and Lamb to knock down some three-pointers.
Pulling up right outside the elbow, another shot good for William Bates. He has been that player, the spark plug so far for this Vikings squad, as the possession will stay with Carthage, as Bates now tied with Wallace for 7 points, leading scorer for North Park. A.J. Johnson at 10 for Carthage, and still Ryan Johnson on the bench for Carthage. Griffin Dawn gets fouled trying to take a slide in. I believe Tyjon Berry going to get called.
I mean, that's one of the downsides of how aggressive North Park is, trying to swat the ball away. I mean, you can see how many fouls they've picked up. And, you know, Carthage, who has some great free throw shooters, is that, hey, if you can, you know, kind of play to that aggression, take care of the ball, they'll slap you a little bit. And as we can see, Carthage continues to get to the line.
Continue to get to the line, but if you are a Firebirds fan, you're hoping that these missed free throws aren't what come back to haunt you at the end of the game. North Park right now only 1 for 4 from the free throw line themselves. Right now, Carthage 9 for 13, so about to take their 14th free throw attempt.
I mean, that's one of the keys. You ask any basketball coach in the country here, is that if you can make more free throws than the other team even attempts, I mean, that is one of the keys that will bring you to a lot of wins. And you can see Carthage don't have the lead right now, but that's really what's kept them in the ball game.
Cutting in, swatted away at the last moment was Johnson. Not sure if a foul's going to be called, and it is. So A.J. Johnson going to be called with the foul. That was close, but nonetheless, his first foul. North Park 2-point lead, a chance to add on.
That was almost one of the similar calls they made on Griffin Dawn on the other side. So the refs staying kind of consistent there, because, you know, if you don't call the foul there, you get some complaints, but they're staying consistent, doing a nice job, taking control of the game.
Gardner, a .600 free throw shooting percentage on the season. The second made free throw for the afternoon for the entire Viking squad, and he makes them both. So Devontae Robinson, a Stetson University transfer, gets a breather. Back comes in is Josh Gaines. Haven't seen a lot of Rico Powell.
I was just thinking that. Started the game.
Yep. 0 for 1, and he has not seen. He's only been in the first 3 minutes of the contest, and that's been about it, so not quite sure what the situation is there. As a Stojic gets another bucket.
Nice two-man game there between Riley Brooks and a Stojic. Stojic able to pick and kind of slash to the basket. Brooks hits him. I think with going back to Powell, I think it's kind of a similar situation to Ryan Johnson. Picked up 2 fouls, and, you know, I think, especially with the deep as the Vikings are, is that, you know, you don't have to force a guy like that back and, you know, kind of keep him fresh and out of foul trouble for the second half.
Griffin Dawn comes away after a nice play by Williams on the defensive side. Chance for the Firebirds to tie it up or even take the lead with 1.5 minutes remaining. The pump fake, the fadeaway, hits the rim, no good. Stojic tries to swat at it. Last touch by Stojic. 34-32 with $1:25 remaining.
And just the effort out of Stojic. I mean, I don't think there have been many rebounds or shots that have not gone in that he has not got at least a hand on, and he's been keeping those balls alive.
Timeout on the court, 34-32. We will be back. We're actually going to keep it here for this one. As again, a 2-point advantage for North Park, and they will have possession. We also want to remind everybody, if you want to catch all the other action of Carthage Athletics, all home Carthage Athletic events are streamed live on YouTube. Tune in to your mobile device, tablet, desktop, or smart TV and cheer on the Firebirds anytime, anywhere. Don't miss a moment of the excitement. And as we look at the upcoming schedule, this Wednesday, women's hoops taking on Elmhurst. Friday, the doubleheader, men's volleyball versus Lakeland and St. Norbert in their season debut. And then right away on Saturday, January 11th, another doubleheader, women's and men's basketball back-to-back against Milliken. And also, while we have a moment, we want to thank Pullman Motors, proud sponsor of Carthage Athletics. Pullman Motors is committed to driving excellence both on and off the field. Whether you're looking for a reliable ride or top-notch service, Pullman Motors has you covered. Visit Pullman Motors in Kenosha or online at pullman.com. Looking baseline, the kick out for three to extend the lead. Beautiful stroke by Tristan Arnault out of Miami, Florida. The pump fake driving in, thought he got contact, nothing called. And a 5-point lead for North Park, and they can add on. Let's see what happens. Oh, mishandled. Stojic now coming away with the deflection. So I think the two things to mention is a key contributor for both teams not having been in quite a lot of time. So another timeout called on the court, a 5-point advantage. While we have a moment, if you want to invest in champions, invest in the future. Introducing the Carthage Athletics Champions Club. Join a community of alumni, parents, and friends whose generous support enriches the Firebird experience and drives Carthage Athletics. Become a champion of our champions. Visit athletics.carthage.edu to give the Champions Club today. Eric, some stats to crunch.
I mean, you can see how tight this game has been between the two teams. It almost looks exactly, rebounds, assists, turnovers. And really what it's come down to is North Park hit a couple more of their three-pointers, and Carthage a little cold so far from that side. So what can Carthage do to you also saw a couple times too is when they beat the pressure, they've had a couple 3-on-2, 4-on-3 advantages, and they just really haven't cashed in yet. And so Carthage, when they get those opportunities and kind of get out in front, they need to cash in and try to get some buckets in transition.
So 5-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. So the Vikings more than content with using as much time as possible.
Someone you have to watch out for here is Devontae Robinson.
Turnaround floater up and good. 10 seconds. Stojic floats it ahead. Stolen away at the last moment by DJ Wallace. 7-point lead. Vikings trying to add on and not able to do so. A stellar first half of action. The Vikings weathered the storm and regained the lead of late. 39-32. Eric, thoughts before we go into half?
Yeah, I think this is kind of the game we expected out of North Park, and they're playing their style really effectively. They're speeding up Carthage, forcing turnovers, and getting good looks at the basket. And Carthage is going to have to take better care of the ball in the second half and hopefully find some opportunities and knock down some baskets.
We'll take a timeout. When we come back, the halftime report with Kalia Butler on the Marquee Sports Network.
I chose Carthage because of the lake view, but also I got to see firsthand the community that we have here. I got to see the relationships that students had with not only each other, but the professors.
The experience at Carthage has been very welcoming. You come in and you are welcomed and loved by everyone. It's a really magical experience. It's a very close-knit family here.
Carthage faculty really strive to have personal connections with our students. Only through developing that level of trust and that level of understanding can our students really allow themselves to be vulnerable and to try things that they might be afraid to try.
The other thing that faculty do, either through mentoring or their teaching, is they're able to bring out the potential of the student. Through the process and believing in them and letting them know they can do this, they're soaring.
As a Carthage parent myself, one of the things I really appreciate about Carthage is the amount of personal attention that my kids have had here.
Our faculty are really, really good at trying to take students from where they're at and try to help them be the best they could be, sometimes even better than they thought they could be.
We do have a lot of really great faculty members and a lot of really great staff members that help out a lot of students figure out exactly what they want to do. You're able to take a lot of different classes in different disciplines to find out what you're really passionate about.
They're really going to get an education that is personal and individualized to meet their needs, and that will push them and challenge them to know more, so that by the time they have graduated, they'll be able to look back and say, I got so much more than I expected, and now I can appreciate that I'm more prepared to go out into the world.
39-32 your score. The Vikings of North Park lead over the home Firebirds of Carthage College, live on the inaugural Saturday broadcast on Marquee Sports Network. Going to turn it over now to Kalia Butler. Had a chance to speak with Coach Jarakovic coming into halftime. Kalia, what did Coach have to say?
Yeah, Pete, Coach was not happy with the way his team came out, and you would think that they're down 40 at this point. They're only down 7, but that's just how passionate he is about this team's success. The one thing he truly harped on was turnovers. At the beginning of the game, he said that if they win the turnover battle and they limit those turnovers, that they can win the game. They already have 10 in the first half, and he said that that's a goal that he would want to have the entirety of the game. He also focused on pressure. He says that they're not handling the ball well and not responding to the Vikings' pressure. I mean, they're a team that is going to press you to their capabilities for a full 40 minutes, so he wants to respond to that better and just overall wants his team to come out a little bit stronger in the second half. Again, haven't played in 15 games, so need to get their legs back under them and see where they can go from there. Pete, back to you.
All right, thank you for that. Kalia, as we look at where the stats happen in this second half of action, we're excited to see where things go. Kalia is going to have an opportunity to talk with the opposing Vikings squad and Edmund McGee coming into halftime, 39-32. Eric, thoughts on the score?
Yeah, I think the reason Carthage finds himself in a 7-point deficit right now is that, I mean, you look at the 11 turnovers. Carthage on the season averages 11 turnovers a game. They've already hit that mark. So I think, North Park is playing the game that they love to play, creating havoc, running guys all over the place, tipping the ball, stealing it. And when they're on the offensive end, they've just been slashing. You can see that's where the 6-point advantage kind of is right there in the points in the paint and points off turnovers. And I think, if you boil it down to, two of the stats there, those are the two I think you would highlight so far.
Yeah, when we look at here, we look at those overall stats, when you have the players not necessarily stepping up in the ways you think they should, but then you have other players contributing. I mean, 19 bench points for North Park. I mean, they've scored 39. So let's look at now some of the leaders, starting with the Firebirds, who's really stepped up for them. A.J. Johnson leading the charge. And if you look at the only 2 for 4 from the field, so the free throw line has been the friend for the Firebirds.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what's kept them in, is that getting North Park into the double bonus early and able to cash in a few of those free throws. And Riley Brooks is another guy, 3 of 10 from the floor. You expect him to heat up a little bit. And how about Nemanja Stojic? Not a guy that Carthage often will lean on to score, but he's been down there and able to get a couple nice passes, one from Griffin Dawn, and continue to see Griffin Dawn to pressure the ball. And again, not scoring all that much, but he is such a key defender for such a quick and athletic team like North Park.
And looking at where things lie, of course, let's state the obvious. You see A.J. Johnson's name there. Ryan Johnson, having foul trouble early on. He only played 7 minutes in the opening half of action, scoring 2 points, 1 for 1 from the field, but 4 rebounds. That is we'll just call it like it is. That's a void right now for the Firebirds. Let's see if he's able to come back. We aren't sure. Maybe something else happened, or maybe it truly was rest the legs, keep him fresh so he can just push through the entire second half of action. But Nemanja Stojic doing such an outstanding job filling in. That's a player in Stojic that earlier in the season wasn't getting any playing time, then kind of eased in, and he's making his mark here. Last year was one of the rotational bigs. Now let's take a look at the Vikings leaderboard.
I mean, it just looks like what the Vikings love to do. As I mentioned, they had 10 guys that score over 5 points a game, and it's not always DJ Wallace, or it could be William Bates, and that's why the second half, it's hard to key in on who you're going to try to stop. And we talked about Powell will be back, and that's part of North Park's advantage, is that even though they had one of their leading scorers in early foul trouble, is that they can turn to a whole load of guys to kind of pick up the pace. And now Carthage, getting Ryan Johnson back and that rebounding advantage that he can provide against the Vikings, it's going to be interesting to see. Can he stay out of foul trouble right in the beginning and hopefully stay out on the floor?
39-32, we'll take a timeout. When we come back, second half of action, Vikings over the Firebirds on Marquee Sports Network. North Park 39, Carthage 32, looking at A.J. Johnson. He has been everything offensively, but also had such a stellar minutes count in the opening half of action, Eric. It's been the A.J. Johnson show for the Firebirds.
He's really shouldering the load here. As we talked about, he's only missed 1 minute in the first half, and I don't expect him to miss many minutes here in the second half. And how much energy that he has to just continually to grind and get the ball up the court. And it's been impressive to see just how he's just kind of just the Energizer Bunny, just keeps going and going and going. And it'll be nice. I'm sure he'll be happy to see his brother back on the court after picking up those 2 early fouls in the first half.
Yeah, we'll be intrigued to see if indeed it was just a situation. It looks like he's, standing up and about to jump in. But before we get there, we're going to once again go to Kalia Butler. She had an opportunity to get some updates on the positions and the players. Kalia, what do you have for us?
Yeah, Pete, in terms of Powell, he just got into some foul trouble early. That's what head coach McGee said. Wanted to pull him out for a little bit so that he can really be utilized in this second half. He said that he's such a spark plug for this Vikings squad, and so he really wants to use him to kind of close it out for them if they're able to get it to that point. And just in general, he likes the pressure that they have created against the the Firebirds. He said that it's really been disruptive for them, and just finding shooters is something that he wants to work on in the second half. He said there's been a couple wide open shots, and they've missed it. They don't want to miss out on those opportunities.
All right, thank you, Kalia. So as we stated in the first half, we not only now have Ryan Johnson back on the court, but we also have number 5, Rico Powell. So the 2 players we didn't see that often are now back. So Kalia, again, thank you for that update. 39-32.
Interesting, 2 early fouls here, just 17 seconds into the game, and the Vikings already got 2 fouls, so that's something to keep an eye on this whole second half. That's been kind of Carthage's way to get some points, is at the free throw line.
So swiped away at the last moment was Preston Bax.
And you see Carthage looking to get Ryan Johnson involved early here.
Immediately.
Yes, trying to come back with a vengeance here.
5 seconds remaining. Long range shot by Ryan Johnson. Couldn't find it. Only a 7-point deficit. And a travel going to be called against Lance Nelson. Once again, I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Eric Elger, sideline reporter Kalia Butler. Live on Marquee Sports Network. The CCIW debut on Marquee.
It's been a few times that Vikings got the feet moving a little too quick before they put the ball on the ground, and Carthage will welcome that turnover all day.
Griffin Dawn kind of lost the handle, and then when he tried to regain it and get it up, a little bit off the mark to the left.
But again, that's what North Park does, is that they swat at the ball, and they were able to kind of just jar it loose enough to throw Griffin Dawn off of his jumper.
Driving in, kick out, open for 3, finds them all. Rico Powell out of Post University extends the lead to 10, the largest lead of the game for either team. And that's why we were wondering, where is Rico?
Yeah, I mean, he's a 3-level scorer, is that not only he gets to the basket, got a good mid-range game, but as you saw there, 3-pointers as well. But Riley Brooks is going to answer back.
Driving in, layup, miss. Johnson on the rebound. Lead cut to 8, chance to cut into it a bit more. Starting 5 back out on the court. Dawn, pump fake, turnaround jumper, short range, couldn't find it. Johnson might get called for the foul. He is not. It's going to be called against Lance Nelson for leaning into Ryan Johnson while Johnson was going for the offensive board. And
Coach Jurkovic had a look there where he thought that was going to be called on Ryan Johnson for a second. And he was able to kind of erase that face once he heard where the call was actually made.
Well, from our vantage point, again, we're up here in the rafters. It looked like Johnson went up and kind of was leaned into and pushed away. So I believe that's the correct call, but nonetheless, Another foul going to be called against the Vikings. They are up to 4 fouls in the opening 2 minutes and 7 seconds of this second half, which again, if you are the Firebirds, by all means foul away, because we love being at the free throw line.
That's exactly right, and they've really struggled in this half-court set without those fouls, and see Riley Brooks gets it knocked away.
Yeah, Brooks has it stolen away by Devontae Robinson.
Carthage foul number 11, Riley Brooks, first personal, first team foul.
And Devontae Robinson's one of those players that he's only got one basket and only taken one shot, and he's someone who they love to get open looks behind the three-point arc, and Carthage has done a nice job of, as he's right there. Oh, I was going to say, almost jinxed that again, but yeah, they've done a nice job of getting out on him, getting a hand in his face, and making him uncomfortable because he is electric from behind the arc.
Brooks looking for the screen from Williams. Back to Williams. Poked away once again by Robinson, who's had 2 amazing series on the defensive side. Kick out, open teammate gets it once again. Robinson has not stopped running for the last 90 seconds.
Yeah, he did a nice job just getting that hand in the passing lane.
And Powell couldn't find the 3. Up ahead, open. Johnson for the layup. A.J. Johnson gets the Firebirds back to within 6.
Yeah, breakdown there from the Vikings. Somebody's got to be watching A.J. Johnson's breakdown on the other side of the court, and there was nobody back there. So an easy transition bucket for the Firebirds. Another way they can get back into this ball game.
Off the front iron, no good. Took a generous bounce for the Vikings. Robinson thought about the 3. Pump fake, comes in, left-hand layup, good. Extends the lead back to 8.
Yeah, he's tough because you can tell the Firebirds respect that three-point shot so much, is that you try to get a hand in his face and then he blows by you.
Foul called that time on T.J. Gardner out of Kenwood Academy. His second team foul, a 5th team foul already on the Vikings. Not even 4 minutes in to this second half of action.
Again, what's interesting with the Vikings is that, yeah, they don't want the team fouls to be racked up, but really individual fouls is that I don't think that bothers them at all. It's like, hey, you got 3 fouls, we'll just throw one of our other guys out there.
Holding the hand, Riley Brooks. Setting it into the ring of fire. 44-39. Firebirds trying to claw back. Quick bounce pass. The spin around by Powell looking for penetration. Fade away. Soft off the glass. Couldn't find it.
Great defense by Williams there. Stay in front. Force a tough shot out of Rico Powell there.
You know, something to mention with how limited Ryan Johnson played in the opening half. He's one of the freshest players out there, and that's what you like to see if you're Carthage. A.J. Williams! 3 ball! Back to within 1 possession, a 2-point game, 44-42. The first basket of the evening for A.J. Williams.
There you can feel a little momentum coming to the Firebird side, knocking down some shots, playing good defense. Only 2 points behind now.
Looking for the fadeaway in his own right, rolls around and in. Nice play by Bax.
Yeah, you're fine with that if you're Carthage. I mean, that's a tough shot. Riley Brooks was there, and just a tough step back, knocked down there by.
Yeah, he had nowhere to go with it.
Yeah.
So had to take a very tough shot.
Kind of flat-footed, just kind of faded back and rolled it in there.
Brooks pump fake from deep. Looking for the screen at the top. Johnson Williams, 10 seconds remain. Looking for the rotation. Brooks drives in, looks for contact. Underneath, Griffin Dawn right hand layup, good, baseline. Griffin Dawn up to 5 points on the evening.
Yeah, Coach Jurkovic mentioned us how their defense can get a little discombobulated if you continue to take care of the ball throughout the shot clock, and there you can see, able to find a cut and Dawn.
Sigel about to check into the game for the Firebirds. Underneath the Ryan Johnson, he's got penetration, the pump fake, up, strong, right hand, and good. Ladies and gentlemen, 13:40 remaining in the contest. We're tied at 46 apiece.
Yeah, that's a Carthage advantage there. You can see just the height and strength of Ryan Johnson. Too much for the lengthier.
The answer back. DJ Wallace spinning one in. Lead extended back to 3. 10 points now for Wallace.
Yeah, Wallace almost saying, oh yeah, you're talking about how I couldn't play defense there. How about a 3 to get him back? And yeah, that's North Park will kind of live with giving up some of the bigs, but
Johnson tries to go up strong, knocked out of play by Robinson as he's kind of staring down Johnson. We'll take a timeout. 3-point lead for the Vikings, 49-46. We'll be back on Marquee Sports Network. Ryan Johnson already making an impact offensively and defensively since coming back in the second half, and it's kind of what was expected for the sophomore season he's had.
yeah, we don't get to see what Coach Jurkovic is writing on the whiteboard at half, but I'm pretty sure it said get Ryan Johnson the ball early, and he is exerting that height advantage, and there you go.
What a sequence. Sigel pump fakes. 15 on the shot clock. Pure hustle personified
And they got an
for
advantage
Johnson.
here.
They're trying to get it back into him, and a foul's going to be called on Robinson. That'll be his second foul. But we are oh so close to saying Vikings might be getting into foul trouble.
Well, that's what they had. Duquesne kind of spread them around, but really, yeah, to be shooting almost at bonus. Only got one more foul. They got almost 13 minutes to go. That's going to be key for the Firebirds.
Step back, Brooks couldn't find the bucket. Good defensive board by John Gaines. Up with the right hand, couldn't find it, and Ryan Johnson hits the court hard. And so foul's going to be called as the support staff was about to come out, but kind of saw that Williams wave him off like he's fine.
Yeah, Colton Sigel, I think, also played the role of a athletic trainer there and just saying he's all right, just waving him off. I mean, that's something that's like, there aren't many tougher players in the conference than Ryan Johnson.
So Griffin Dawn checks back in. It was tied at 46 apiece before the 3 ball by Wallace And now 2 free throws good by Gaines. So lead extended back to 5, almost swatted out of play. Up ahead to Griffin Dawn. And the Vikings and their pressure. You know, we just finished watching the 2 women's teams play, and the pressure the Vikings have this game is shades of what Coach Jones and the women's Carthage team had in the first contest of this doubleheader on Marquee.
Yeah, it's a good connection. Is that, yeah, they almost, North Park men play a lot of like the Carthage women with just that full court continual pressure.
Up and 1. Pure strength. John Gaines making it happen underneath the basket. Little bit of a drought here now. 53-46. Gaines going to come back looking for the and one, and we'll come back to see it happen. 53-46 on Marquee. What a play by Gaines. Here's another look at it. From the top, getting the and one opportunity to bring this lead from 53 to 54 and push it right back out to 8.
Yeah, just getting downhill and attacking, and that's tough to guard when, you know, they're so quick, so strong down there. As he cashes in the three-point play. And this is what we talked about. North Park has a tendency to go on some runs, and it can be quick. I mean, we just said it was 46-46, and the next thing you know, the Vikings are up 9 again. You know, can Carthage put an end to this drive and kind of put one scoring spree on themselves?
A scoreless 2 minutes for the Firebirds so far. They're 1 for their last 4, but this is an 8-0 run now for the Vikings. Carthage trying to break this little run. Plenty of time left. Offensive board up. Johnson. Just like that, Ryan Johnson. Strong, strong, strong. Right hand layup, no good. Trying to throw it back in. Able to keep it on the offensive side. North Park so good at trying to create those second chance points, and a foul going to be called. Let's see who it's on. It might be Johnson. It is not on Johnson. I believe it's on Dawn. Okay, yes, so indeed. So it is going to be on Griffin Dawn, his third. So again, you don't want to necessarily see Dawn have his third, but I guess sigh of relief to know it's not Johnson. And free throw missed by Gaines.
Trying to get some cheese curds here in the second.
Yeah, so you might
throw.
have heard PA announcer Justin, if they miss both free throws, you get cheese curds from Culver's. That did not happen. He made the second. 55-48. Some fun promotions here at Tarble Arena for this Firebird squad and the home fans. Foul going to be called.
And that's free throws.
And just like that, 10:56 remaining in the contest. And this game will come down to shots at the line. You know, and something else to keep in mind, if you look at right now the foul, quote, trouble that some players may be in for North Park. Wallace having 3, Nelson having 3, but quite a handful of players at 2, so let's see if that comes to fruition. First free throw up and good for Johnson.
And something you've seen the Vikings do is that, you know, with the kind of overall bench they have the guys up and down, it's like they can kind of just ride one guy when he's hot. And you can see right now that would be number 0, John Gaines, is that they're really just keying in on him and letting him go to work. And Jurkovic brings out Mason Miller for his first minutes of the game.
Up, they thought there was a foul, no foul called. Johnson, 10 on 10, out of play, and it's going to stay with 15 seconds. Vikings possession. And again, you mentioned some subs that are on the court right now for Carthage. Mason Miller, the junior guard out of Evansville, Wisconsin. And foul is likely going to be called, I believe, on Riley Brooks. And indeed it is. So also in the game now, Tanner Lamb. So a unique lineup. A.J. Johnson, Ryan Johnson, Tanner Lamb, Brooks, and number 31, Mason Miller in the contest.
Mason Miller, you look at it, it's only averaged 3 minutes a game. So interesting to see the coach Jurkovic turn to him. And it's got to be for his defense, you would expect.
Taking a few steps in, his own offensive board is Gaines yet again. Rebounds on the offensive side favoring the Vikings. Gaines kicks out, open for 3, gets them all. Tajon Berry out of Eisenhower High School extends the lead back to 8. Looking for 3. And an offensive foul going to be called against Tanner Lamb. It looks like contact was made, but they're saying he may have leaned into it. So his first personal foul as Sigel now comes in for Lamb.
What is that, like kind of a Reggie Miller? As he was famous for that, kind of leaving that foot out as a jump shooter.
Looks to very much be the case.
Yeah, Lamb just kind of kicked his foot out, looking to get the contact. And the ref not having it.
8-point lead for the Vikings. Long range 3 rolls out no good. As checking in for the Vikings is Lance Nelson, who has mentioned a little bit of foul trouble in his own right and a misguided pass by Sigel. And that is not quite what the doctor ordered for Carthage, as Mason Miller subbing out of the game. So just as it was tied at 46 apiece, it is now a 12-4 run for the Vikings.
Yeah, they can do that. I mean, it's just the way how fast they play, getting turnovers.
Travel called on the Vikings. And right now, if you're Carthage, you know, not to say you want any luck or favors to be on your side, but North Park shooting 44% from the field, including 47 from 3. Carthage only 26% from three in their own right. Many more free throws, as of course noted, for the Firebirds.
I'd say if you're Carthage, you want to be aggressive and try to get it to the hoop.
Long two for Brooks, nails it. 6-point lead.
Such a good shooter off the bounce, can pretty much pull up from wherever. Riley Brooks, talented offensive weapon for the Birds.
Nelson thought about the long three. Decided against it, driving in 10v10. Miss on the layup. Three-pointer brings it within one possession. And A.J. Johnson with the mishandle stepped out quickly ahead of having possession. Coach Jarakovic nodding to him, saying, "You're good, you're good."
Yeah, I think he liked the decision there. I mean, A.J. was kind of ahead of the Viking defense. It was going to go right at number 5, Rico Powell. And if anything, try to get a shot and continue to stay aggressive and continue to, can you get to the free throw line and get some freebies, get back in the game.
Left hand, no good off the side iron. Fouled his own miss is Powell. And that will be another opportunity. Nelson misses off the iron. Pushing ahead. Passing up. Griffin Dawn. Kicking out. Brian Johnson wants the three. Can't find it. Defensive rebound by Barry. Stojic about to check in. Lance Nelson making it rain. Lead at 9 for the Vikings. Johnson getting contact. Will go to the line for 2. But that'll happen after this timeout. 52-61, the Vikings lead by 9. Johnson can go to the line for 2 when we come back on the Marquee Sports Network. (61-52) your score. Going over to Kalia Butler. More on Coach Jarakovic and the bond this team has. Kalia?
Thanks, Pete. Yeah, head coach Jarakovic made sure to note the love that he has for this team. He says they are a very tight-knit squad, and their off-court connection translates to the court, and he says much of their team's success stems from the culture and their want to play for the man next to them. Pete?
Thank you for that, Kalia. You know, and again, you've been around this program a long time yourself, Eric. You know Steve, you know, fairly on a personal level, and you, I'm sure, would have to agree with all that.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of makes this Carthage. I mean, Carthage for the Jarakovic is Jurkovic has always been family, and so any player to come through this program, I mean, he's going to wrap his arm around them. And actually, he just had a celebration with the team over break. It was the Serbian holiday of Slava, and I know he had the team over there having some various Serbian delicacies, a bunch of things I didn't really know how to pronounce, but were tasty nonetheless. And yeah, the whole team was over there. And yeah,
did you get the invite as the color commentator?
I got to come after the players left, because I was the second run. So, but yeah, he's such a nice family. That, you know, everyone, including Mandy Jurkovic, Pete Jurkovic.
Griffin Dawn passes ahead, layup with the right hand, Brooks. Firebirds still within striking distance. Vikings trying to put this one out of reach. Vikings have been having such a good job, or run we should say, offensively in the last few possessions. The second chance points. Foul going to be called as Ryan Johnson getting a breather. A Stojic back in the contest. 10 steals for North Park to 5 for Carthage.
I mean, and it's no surprise. I mean, talking with Coach Jurkovic, he knew what these guys are going to do, what the challenge they would present. And they, you know, this whole week tried to reenact the type of defense North Park has. But it's really hard to, you know, because you're expecting some of your, you know, guys that aren't really familiar with that to practice and try to mock and, you know, almost assume like you're playing against the Vikings. But when you get to this actual North Park team, it's hard to kind of show the quickness and just athleticism that they display. It just seems like they're always like hunting the ball. You know, you just think of some of those top steal guys you've seen, and just they try to find every opportunity to just tap the ball away.
Stojic in, layup for Johnson. It hasn't necessarily been an offensive challenge for the Firebirds in the second half. They started out cold, we could admit to that. But once they tied it at 46 apiece, you felt that, okay, momentum's kind of going back in the Firebirds' favor. But the Vikings just aren't allowing it to happen. Another offensive board. Travel going to be called, however, on the way down by backs. So again, can Carthage take advantage of an opportunity as such?
Yeah, it's a good break there because they did have the offensive rebound, but just fighting for it.
And Dawn, misguided, poked off to the side, and that is going to stay with the Vikings. So, again, Carthage, self-inflicted wounds, gets the turnover on the travel, ill-advised inbounds, then had an opportunity to get it off the point-blank miss by Powell, swatted it out of Pele. So, just the opportunities, they're fleeting right now for Carthage. Because the Vikings are going to keep pressing, they're going to keep getting offensive boards, but Nemanja Stojic with the block. Fourth block of the evening for the Firebirds.
I mean, you almost want to break it down to something as simple as, like, if Carthage can take care of the ball, they're going to get back into this game. But, I mean, North Park is just so nasty defensively. It's just like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to take care of it. They're still going to take it away.
Sigel looked for the far out three-pointer. Couldn't deliver. But that's one of those three-pointer plays, you know, if I'm a Firebird fan, I don't mind, because if that goes in, you are right back in the contest.
And Sigel has proven through his career to be a sharpshooter out there.
And up strong was Gaines. A Stojic with the contact. And that is going to send Gaines to the line for two more. Out of Skyline Prep High School in Arizona is John Gaines.
He's really had a good second half. He's been definitely the most aggressive player for the Vikings. And he's really taken it into the paint and gotten some, thrown his weight around a little bit and gotten some looks. And he has been a handful for the Firebirds. And something we talked about earlier, how quickly North Park got into foul trouble. I mean, they've limited that over the last 10 minutes, and an area we thought Carthage could have a little bit of an advantage is getting to the free throw line. That's been really limited as the second half has gone on.
Lead back to 6. Still a 2-possession game, almost a steal, but a foul going to be called against Rico Powell. He is taking a second to get up. I'm not sure if that's frustration or if he got hit. I am leaning toward frustration.
Vikings foul number 5, Rico Powell, his third personal.
So that's Powell's third foul. Stojic getting a breather. Ryan Johnson coming in for likely to be the final 5 of the game. Don Williams, A.J. Johnson, alongside Brooks, who's at the free throw line. Don, 4 fouls, most for any player on either team at this point. 18 points now for Brooks, chance to make it 19 and bring the Firebirds within 4. Up and good. Brooks with a percentage of .770 at the free throw line on the season. Firebirds faithful need to get loud. Try to will their team back. It was tied at 46. Huge run by the Vikings that the Firebirds are still trying to find their way back from. Powell looked for 3, another offensive board for Nelson. Not sure if that was a travel or not, but nonetheless resets the shot clock. Back to 20 for the Vikings.
It's really seemed North Park's been most effective off the dribble, getting to the basket, and so they've settled for some three-point shots and haven't been able to really knock them down, and that's what Carthage, I think, will live with some of those three-pointers as long as they're not getting to the hoop, and we continue to clamp down on defense.
Williams driving in, layup, couldn't find it, gets his own offensive board, and he's going to be fouled by Rico Powell. Powell not happy about it, but a clean foul on the offensive board. So going to the line, so A.J. Williams not only does a nice little crossover to get the layup opportunity, follows up his own miss, and then gets fouled and is going to the line for 2 to bring this back to a 1-possession game.
I mean, just looking at the stats, it just kind of shocked me a little bit looking at the offensive rebounding of both teams. Carthage has 7, and North Park has 15 offensive rebounds. Almost half of their rebounds have been on the offensive end, and so that is another key at North Park is that, yeah, they might have missed a couple of those three-point shots, but they've been crashing the glass and getting those putbacks, and it's been a huge factor for the Vikings this game so far.
Up and good. 64-62 Firebirds back to within 1 bucket with the 2 free throws made by Williams. If the Firebirds are able to come back and be victorious in this one, what resolve. Another miss.
Maybe and got a piece of it there, maybe?
Potentially, I was just going to say, but all of a sudden, nonetheless, the Vikings have gone cold.
And Carthage can stay patient. They don't need to force anything. Continue to work. Try to get it in the post.
Dawn driving in, layup with the left hand, and just a miss. And he is still on the ground. And Dawn was grabbing the left knee as the trainer immediately comes out to check on him. So we'll take a timeout with him as they check on Griffin Dawn. 64-62 Firebirds within a bucket. Can the Vikings extend it? We'll find out for Eric Elger on Peter Ferreri on Marquee. So Sigel has come into the game for Griffin Dawn, who is on the trainer's table right now. Hopefully all is okay. And battling injuries back and forth all season, but battling through for a tough basket is John Gaines.
That's been their guy. I mean, he puts his shoulder into your chest, and there's not a whole lot of ways you can keep your ground, and he just carves space and gets buckets.
Johnson trying to fight through. He gets it swatted at the last second. Hits the ground hard, but was kind of leaning in. Wasn't able to come away with it. 66-62 is going to be your score. 3:03 remaining. We're coming down to the wire. Can the Firebirds bounce back? We'll find out on Marquee.
Carthage ball.
66-62. Have a report from Kalia Butler messaging us that it is cramps right now for Griffin Dawn. So no injury beyond that, but cramps are still a painful situation when you got 3 minutes remaining in the game.
And he's someone that's just been rounding back into health. He's had a foot issue earlier in the game, so Carthage fortunate to get it back.
Oh, two-hand slam by Ryan Johnson to bring the Firebirds back to within two.
What hands there, Carthage, to get the ball back and get Ryan Johnson throwing down the dunk. And here's back to North Park. They've been going through John Gaines all second half. He's their leading scorer with 11.
Kickoff to the baseline. Nelson thought about it, driving in, bounce pass underneath, mishandle, free ball opportunity. Just throwing it up off the side, and Johnson comes away with a tough rebound. They swatted at it, and just like that, the Firebirds an opportunity to tie or take the lead with 2 minutes remaining in the contest.
Every game comes down to the wire in the CCIW, and this one's going to be no different. So hang around. We got a packed 2 minutes of action here to go.
So A.J. Johnson drives in. He will be fouled. I believe it is going to be on John Gaines. So A.J. Johnson now with the opportunity to tie the game with 1:59 remaining.
Yeah, no better free throw shooter on the court right now.
Up and good. A.J. Johnson, as we mentioned, the almost 900 percentage free throw shooter. None better for the Firebirds. I mean, Tanner Lamb 8 for 8, so I mean, we gotta give him that right now. But when you have that high of a percentage after that volume of shots, good. Ladies and gentlemen, on Marquee, we are tied at 66 apiece. Alongside Eric Elger and Kalia Butler, I'm Peter Ferreri. We appreciate you being with us this Saturday afternoon on the inaugural CCIW Carthage broadcast on Marquee. And did you sign up for a good one or what? Driving in is Powell, pulls up, smooth as silk. 68-66. A beautiful shot by Powell, and that is why he was your player to watch. He was Kalia's player to watch. A quiet first half of action, but is delivering with 4 fouls up to 7 points.
Yeah, Coach Edwin McGee had mentioned to Kalia how he's going to try to be their closer. And you can see, crunch time, I think they're going to continue to lean on him and Gaines to create.
Yeah.
And yeah, he is, their leading scorer, 14 points a game, and has not been, on the court much, but it doesn't really matter because if you can come in and get the key buckets at the end, I think Powell will take that and not worry about the overall volume. Just make them when they count.
This game also brought to you in part by BSN Sports, the official provider of Carthage Athletics. BSN Sports is proud to support the Firebirds with high-quality gear and equipment. Let's take another look at that miss. And then the up strong by Ryan Johnson. So just showing the strength he's had in play. Lamb into Williams. Firebirds down by 2. Tied it at 46. 20 points later, tied it at 66 apiece. Once again, an opportunity to tie or take the lead. Strong defense at the top by Nelson.
Yeah. Gaines
Brooks
doing
up
everything
ahead.
he can.
Tipped away by Nelson.
I was just going to say, Gaines doing everything he can to just not even let A.J. Johnson get the ball. And he is face guarding and just trying to stay in front the whole way on this side of the floor.
Carthage is going to call a timeout. 10 seconds in the shot clock. Also, I want to remind everybody that volleyball on the men's side is starting soon. A back-to-back national champion from 2021-2022. Tickets are now on sale for the men's volleyball season. The opener this Friday, doubleheader against Lakeland at 4:30 and St. Norbert at 7. Right here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Let's take another look at what happened just a few moments ago on that kick out, that 3-pointer, and just another good shot by Barry. But here's that tip away. Dawn layup, good by Brooks. So looking for the inbound. Brooks goes up for it, rolls around, no good. Two-point lead now for the visiting Vikings. They have an opportunity to really put a clamp on this broadcast and on this game. If they make another bucket, let's see what happens. Open, Powell, 3, no good. Sigel comes away with the board. 15-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock.
I was going to say, this is just about A.J. Johnson time here. Let him take to the hoop. Can he draw a foul, get a bucket?
Johnson backing in. Kicks out to Williams, 10 on the shot clock. Williams goes up strong! Strength personified. A.J. Williams and the Vikings gonna hold on for the final shot. They will take a timeout. Tied at 68 apiece. Don't go anywhere, Eric. A.J. Williams didn't necessarily want to take that shot, but he saw the lane and said the time is now.
It kind of looked like a running back going through the hole there. Kind of had it tucked high and tight and able to just extend the arm to get a crucial bucket, because if he misses that, Carthage would have to foul, and then you're getting in some danger. And here, I mean, if you're Coach Jurakovic, I think the last thing obviously you want to do is you do not want to foul, put him on the free throw line, And it's going to come down to, can Carthage make a key stop against some of the most talented, quicker players in the CCIW? You would expect North Park to play through Gaines. You would also expect Rico Powell, who just missed that 3 earlier. You know he's going to want to try to take. He seems like the type of guy that wants the ball in his hands and take the big shot and try to win this game for his team.
Well, and something you got to be cognizant of right now is neither team can ill afford to foul. You do not want to send somebody to the foul line with this amount of time left. So Carthage, you got to be a little bit clean defensively while still trying to apply pressure. If you're North Park, do you try to gain, or I should say, do you try to elicit that contact and go to the free throw line? Again, on the evening, you are 10 for 15 from the free throw line, but all you need is 1 right now.
Yeah, I would have a hard time thinking North Park's going to try to settle for a 3. It's going to be downhill action. And I think who's going to play a key role here, too, is they'll spread them out, but can Ryan Johnson be down in the paint to try to stop any potential drive? And this is fun. Holy cow. 68-68, man.
The inbound to Gaines. Matched up on A.J. Johnson. Powell, screen to the right. Switch off to Williams. Ryan Johnson. The quick pass inside. Foul going to be called with 1.1 seconds remaining. It was a beautiful pass. A beautiful pass to Tajon Berry. Was ready for a layup. So, I mean, you got to credit the Vikings. They drew the double coverage or the double team. So, Coach Jarakovic now having to draw up a play of all plays for 1.1 seconds left when they get the ball. And that'll either be a chance to tie with a 2 or win with a 3. It's almost a circumstance we talked about, Eric. They would have fouled earlier in the sequence to at least afford yourself an opportunity to come back.
Yeah, like you said, they knew they were going to try to attack the basket, and it just seemed like Carthage almost overhelped a little on the drive, and that's what gave the open look for the Vikings. And yeah, right now you're thinking strategy. If they can get a rebound, right, call timeout and you bring it to the other side of the half court. But you would think if they make it, it's going to be hard to, what options are they going to have to get a play, or how close they get to the basket to hopefully get a look at potentially tying or winning this game.
Another thing to keep in mind, if you're North Park, and I'm trying to see how many timeouts the Firebirds have left, you wouldn't be opposed to just missing on purpose, knowing you have the 1-point lead. I believe the Firebirds are out of timeouts based on what we see on the scorebook here, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, that plays a huge factor. I mean, they get it. You're gonna pretty much chuck it from the other side of the court. Yeah, I was not thinking. I just assumed they had another foul or another timeout, and on the scoreboard it's saying 0 timeouts left. So, yeah, you wonder right here if your strategy, do you miss on purpose so they can't set up kind of that, Christian Leitner full court pass.
So right now, Coach Edwin McGee, you might see him in the background, he is saying, nobody do anything. And indeed, that is exactly what happened. With the 0 timeouts remaining, the Vikings come to Kenosha and take away a hard-fought contest between these two squads. The final 69-68. So I kind of predicted that is an opportunity once it hit that 0 mark.
I mean, that was pretty close, too, to being didn't hit the cylinder. I mean, He went hard off the backboard, and that would have been interesting to see if he would have not hit the cylinder there. Carthage would have been able to get the ball back, but, yeah, able to clip the rim, and, yeah, they played into just what North Park was trying to execute at the end there.
Well, again, final thought, 69-68. We're going to take a minute to kind of soak it all in, but we want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon on the Marquee Sports Network. A outstanding contest between these two teams, a doubleheader. The Carthage women's team come out victorious against the women Vikings, but the men's side, a close fought battle, 69-68. Leading scorer for the Firebirds is going to be Brooks with 19 points, A.J. Johnson right behind with 18. As for North Park, 10 for Wallace, 11 for Gaines. A diversified offensive approach, 1 at the free throw line for North Park. But we want to thank you all for being with us this Saturday afternoon in Kenosha. For executive producer Mike Love, producer John Voinovich, as well as the crew Laura, Sam, Ty, Ryder, Yam, and Daniel. An outstanding broadcast this afternoon has been a presentation of Firebird Broadcast Productions and Carthage College. Once again, for Kalia Butler, for Eric Elger, I'm Peter Ferreri. Thank you one, thank you all for joining us. 69-68 Vikings over the Firebirds on Marquee.